Welcome to RetroLogic episode 91. I'm Dan Caporello. Again, here with John Cummins, again, and Sam Wagers, again. And today we'll be talking about... That's me. That's my scrolling down to our show notes sound because I didn't write it there. We're going to talk about retro remakes and remasters. Have we gone too far? And we're going to talk about franchise reboots. Are they even a good idea? We're just going to question the whole system from top to bottom now. Because that's what we do here. But RetroLogic isn't just about questioning the system. It's about our community of retro gamers, which is mostly active on Discord, a little bit on Twitter. But we've got, friendly Discord happenings like giveaways and contests. And we've got different podcasts going on. We've got a retro... what do we got? RetroGroove, which is a music history podcast. We've got On Topic Retro, which is hosted by John, which is dedicated to one game per episode, deep dives. And then we have Sam, who writes for our blog and does streaming. And then we have me, who does stuff. I don't know what I do, just all the things. And yeah, if you want to join to that community and have a good time, have some fun, you can find it all on our website at retrologic.games. That's our URL, retrologic.games. .games is a website ender now, and retrologic.com was taken. So that's how that came about. But enough about this. Let's talk about you guys. Tell me one thing, guys, that happened to you this week that you want everyone to know about. What happened? John, why don't you go first?
Well, it didn't happen this week, but last week.
Well, then I don't want to hear about it. No, I'm just kidding.
Every other week. But I completed my Xenosaga collection finally.
It's the PS2.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, they all made it on PS2 somehow.
Was it just one disc you were missing, right?
Well,
no, it released in episodes, right?
Yeah, they were released in episodes. I had episode 1 and 2, but I still needed 3, and it floats anywhere from like $250 to $300.
Jeez, man.
So I bought and sold, flipped some things, and like when it was all said and done, I think I paid like $80 for it
Out of pocket,
because I bought a copy of Zen Intergalactic Ninja complete in box for $50 and flipped it for like $200.
Oh, sweet.
And then like some other little bits and bobs that I made some money on. So I finally completed that. And then I think this might have been this week or maybe late last week. I hit up Zach in the Discord, and he had a PS2 Slim for sale. So I picked that up, and it's now my go-to PS2. It's in my stack of consoles on my desk that I can play with through my computer monitor.
I had a PS2 Slim for a while that wouldn't play blue. No, it wouldn't play non-blue discs. It only played CDs and blue discs. So I traded it in.
So far, this thing's like super clean. He did an awesome job cleaning it up if he had to clean it up much.
Yeah.
And it's pretty snappy. Like it loads discs pretty quick. It's in good shape.
Nice.
I'm enjoying it.
Love it. Awesome. Well, congrats on completing the Xeno stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going further back. Well, I guess it's the same generation, but Monolith. That was all Monolith, right?
Yep.
Did the Baten Kaidos games on GameCube, and I have the first one that was released. And I'm trying to find a decently priced copy of Origins now, which is proving to be difficult. So we'll see about that. Sam, what's your one thing that happened this week?
So I had a bit of a moment. I was watching our friends Seth and Eric recording their news roundup for the All In podcast this weekend, and they were talking about what is it? The Day of the Devs showcase and some of the games that were, and they're talking about this game Terra Nil. It's kind of like I guess like terraforming ecosystem building like game. Apparently, it's not coming to Switch. They were hoping it would, but it's not confirmed anyway. And I just dropped in the chat because they were recording live. I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds kind of like Star Wars Episode 1 Gungan Frontier on the PC. And they're like, whoa, that's not real. There's no way that's real. You made that up. And I'm like, oh no, but it is. I rented it at the library all the time.
Oh my gosh.
And it's just, I don't know. You had to be there. I proved its existence and possibly derailed the podcast just by talking about Gungans randomly. So it's just, yeah. But
I've never heard
Star Wars Episode 1 Gungan Frontier, man.
Never heard of it. Never heard of that game.
It's from LucasArts' now defunct edutainment branch called Lucas Learning. They made DroidWorks and a couple other things. And apparently they also did Bombad Racing as well. That was the last thing they did. Wasn't even educational. They're just like, we give up. We're just going to make this like pod racing Mario Kart knockoff. Nice. and then disappear forever.
I remember DroidWorks. DroidWorks was cool. Yeah.
But yeah, it actually was kind of like, for some reason the Gungans were trying to like colonize one of Naboo's moons. And it was all just like a wasteland at the start. And you basically just dropped different plants and animals in and watched them grow and eat each other. And you just kind of wanted to like form a stable ecosystem. So
cool.
It was kind of a fun sandbox to play around with. Yeah.
Sounds like something that's fun to destroy, like SimCity style. Just like
I mean, it was pretty free form. There wasn't a whole lot, like I think most of the time I was playing on like unrestricted mode where you had no limits to how much stuff you could spawn in on your own. But I think the more like challenge mode was like you had to, accumulate resources or wait so long before you could like work your way up to different stuff. I don't know. It's just one of those random memories that got unlocked. So
love it.
Like I said, you had to be there.
Yeah, that's good. So I guess the most major purchasey thing, although I did swing by a local shop I've never been to, it's about an hour away, called D-Pad in New Braunfels, Texas. Highly recommend that spot. Really clean, great shop, great guys working there. But on Mercari, I was just sort of like, every once in a while, I'll just think of a game or somebody will remind me that something exists. And I remembered somehow, how did I remember? The shmup on GameCube and Dreamcast in Japan called Chaos Field. I remembered it. I was like, oh, is this a real thing or is this something I made up? And I looked it up and I was like, yep, there it is. And it's kind of expensive because it's pretty hard to find. Those like GameCube games that nobody bought. But so it goes for about $70 complete. And the disc goes for about $35-$40. And so somebody had it up for $27 disc only, free shipping on Mercari. And I was like, all right, okay. That's like a cheap enough price where I'd feel okay buying anything at like, under $20 to $30. It's like, okay, that's a cool thing. Even if though it's disc only, I can always have John print me some box art and send it to me. If I really am jonesing for some box art. Need some GameCube cases. But it's a great little shmup on the GameCube that like nobody knows exists. So now that you know, you're going to shoot the price up. So that's how that goes. Cool. So let's do a little bit of housekeeping. We've got Sam, you've got streaming happening still every Monday. What are you going through right now? You're still doing the
Mega Monday, Network? Still going strong.
Yeah.
Network transmission wrapped up, so I'm on Battle Network 2.
Yeah.
Been fighting with my own internet, ironically enough, given the theme of that game.
Battling the network,
right?
Yeah, I've been battling my network provider, I think. Or I'm going to be some more. It's been weird. It's been some struggles. There's probably some things, but looking forward to that. It kind of bummed me out because like especially tonight there were a couple like new first time chatters in the chat, and I'm like, oh man, sorry guys, the stream's way behind real time now because my upload speed is just tanking randomly.
It's weird.
And yeah, but other than that, Battle Network 2 is probably my personal favorite of the series. And I recently learned that it has a hard mode that I was able to unlock through. It's actually kind of hard. It's really hard to unlock because you have to like 100% the game, which is ridiculous. And I kind of cheated to do it, but that's just so I can play and make the game harder. So
you need to make it harder.
Yeah, all hard mode really, it changes some of the scripted battles, but for the most part, it just is a 50% increase to enemy health and damage.
Oh, it's lazy. It's lazy hard mode.
Yeah, yeah, it is. But honestly, like Battle Network 2 has some really broken stuff in it that you can abuse. So I almost think it kind of evens out.
Okay. Well, that's good. And then, John, you have a new On Topic episode coming up. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so this week we'll be recording on Wednesday an episode on the X-Men game for the Sega Genesis.
Oh, love it. That beat 'em up.
Which is like, yeah, it's known for being like notoriously hard. It's basically like an action platformer.
Yeah. Used to always be Nightcrawler on that one.
Yeah, I mean, by the time you're done with it, you're gonna have to play with everyone because you will die.
Yeah, right.
You'll have to summon the next character up.
I like how they do that. That's cool that it rotates when you die. That's a cool feature.
There's like a famous scene where you have to like hit the reset button lightly in order to get to the last part of the game.
What? Like a bug?
Everyone, yeah. And it's part of the game.
I haven't played this one. I have X-Men 2 for the Genesis.
Nice. Yeah, I need to get that one. I just have the original X-Men, and then I gave away a copy a couple weeks ago, and it was also coming up as a show topic. So moving ahead, we're gonna record that one, and then we just recently did Comic Zone. So
yeah, some fresh content over there. Well, great. Thanks, guys. Why don't we do the Price is Retro? If this is your first time playing Price is Retro, here's how we play. I'm going to list off 4 or 5 games, and everyone has to guess how much the lots are worth in total. Whoever is closest to the actual value wins that round, and everyone has lists. Everyone guesses on each other's lists, and at the end, the player that won the most rounds wins the episode. But watch out for our killer robot. He averages all of our guesses together for his own guess, and we have a name. We have landed on a name. The community came up with some great names, and we voted. I'm going to try to find the list of names here because that was absolutely amazingly entertaining. Watching all the names happen. And where was it? Was it in here? Oh, it was in Price's Retro channel. Coming up. Here we go. All right. The options that were the most popular, there's like 12 of them, but we have RoboGuest, Retrobot, The Price is Robot, which is I loved that one. Slicey, which is the close second and a fan favorite. Slicey. We might have to have a Slicey appearance at some point. Complete in Bots, BOTS. I thought that was clever. Median Droid, Deus Guess Machina, Guest in the Machine, Chibi Avro, the Averaginator, which is hard to say. Nintendo, that's what it is, because it's the trend of guesses. And then Nintendo Evaluation System. And so the winner by a good number of votes was Deus Guess Machina. I think, Sam, was that your suggestion?
Yeah, I came up with that one.
That's a great one. And then Slicey was close behind it, so I don't know. We'll have to incorporate another character named Slicey at some point, like and he cuts everybody's guesses in half or something crazy. I don't really know.
It's a new robot.
Would be fair. But yeah, we have Deus Guess Machina now. He's going to average all of our scores and make his own guess and just wreak havoc as a killer robot does. Anywho, John, why don't you jump in first and do your Price is Retro list?
All right. First game on my list is Summon Night Swordcraft Story for the Game Boy Advance, Loose. The second game is Urban Yeti for the Game Boy Advance, Loose.
Urban Yeti?
Yep.
What in the world?
The third game is Double Dragon Advance for the Game Boy Advance, Loose. And the fourth game is Space Channel 5. I believe it's Eulalas or Eulala. Looks like Eulalas.
Oolala.
Cosmic Attack.
Oolala is her name.
Oolala.
Yeah, oolala.
Okay. I do not know much about Space Channel 5, honestly.
Well,
this one's also for the Game Boy Advance.
It's a shame.
Loose.
It's a shame that you don't, honestly.
It is.
Okay, I'll guess first on this one. I've got a total of 310.
Ooh, we're close together. I've got 330.
Oh man, this might be get Deus Guess Machina's first win.
You guys are pretty close, so I mean he's gonna come in at 320, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So total of my lot is 414.11.
Ooh, okay.
Not that far away.
Not too bad.
So that should be Sam's.
Yeah, that's Sam's win for sure.
Yeah, I was the highest guess. We're all low.
Low, man. I didn't know most of those. I was throwing numbers out like it was.
Yeah, I didn't even realize there was a Space Channel 5 game for GBA. That's...
Yeah. All right, hit us with those prices, John.
Yes. So the first game, Sword Knight Swordcraft Story, for the Game Boy Advance is 132.23.
Jeez.
Urban Yeti for the Game Boy Advance is 110.39.
What even is that?
I knew that one. I think it's come up before.
I think I've actually had this one on my list.
Or for some reason I looked it up. I don't know, but I remembered Urban Yeti. I'm like, yeah, that one's like $100-something.
This game looks so stupid. Urban Yeti. Look at the cover art for this dumb game.
Yeah, it looks horrible. I looked at it.
Stupid game.
I don't know what kind of game it even is. I just saw it on price charting. I kind of pulled a Dan tonight and just pulled up the Game Boy Advance section and found some games.
I'm gonna look it up.
But yeah, Double Dragon Advance is $89, and then the Space Channel 5, Oolala's Cosmic Attack for Game Boy Advance as well is $82.49.
Wow. Yeah, I was under with all these. Okay, so Urban Yeti looks like the original Grand Theft Auto where it's like a top-down view.
Oh gosh.
It's like a parody of that where you're in a city and you can drive cars top down and you walk around as this Yeti killing people or eating hot dogs or whatever.
Prequel to Ape Out?
I mean, it's that
basically sounds like Untitled Goose Game way before its time.
Yeah.
It's that perspective. And it's hard to tell what the actual point of this game is. Like, he's walking around, but I don't really see him like doing anything. Oh, there's zombies now, I guess.
Being an Urban Yeti.
Yeah, just chilling. There's zombies and there's humans.
I was paused for a second because I thought I broke my sheet for a minute, and then I realized that my period button stuck, and I put 2 periods between my dollar amount when I input it in, and it just wrecked all everything. The values. And I was like, okay, hold on a minute. Oh, here we go.
This game looks terrible. I want it. I want a copy of it. Urban Yeti. I wonder if it's in my my list on my EverDrive. I'll have to look.
It's only $110, man. Yeah, Pony up.
Nah. That's a game I'm going to play for 5 minutes for funsies and be done with for the rest of my life.
Probably not worth $110.
I mean, maybe it is. What do we know?
It's the kind of game I would be like thrilled to find for like $10 though.
Yeah.
And not just to resell it. I'd just be like, oh, this is weird and cheap.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, Sam, your turn.
All right. I have, in honor of our new friend, Deus Guess Machina, a list of robot sports games.
Yes.
These are all basically games about robots playing sports. And they are all loose, by the way. So first up, we have Telero Boxer for the Virtual Boy. Mm-hmm. Loose, as I said. Cyberball for the NES. Once again, loose. Cyber Stadium Series Base Wars for the NES. Loose. And lastly, Mega Man Soccer for the Super Nintendo. Loose.
Oh my gosh. Friggin' Mega Man Soccer. How much is that game now?
Are you going first or am I going first?
You're going to guess first.
I'm going to say $350.
All right. I'm going to say $270.
$270, $350.
Yeah.
Okay. So the total is actually just $133.80.
Oh, wow.
What? Mega Man Soccer.
Dan takes it.
Yeah, I guess, but Mega Man Soccer.
Mega Man Soccer for the Super Nintendo loose is $72.62.
What?
That's what price charting has it at right now.
Are you for real? I feel like that.
Yeah.
That's a mistake. That game.
It doesn't. From their chart, its peak price loose was just 85 about. Looks like.
What do you know?
If you're talking complete, then 300.
Yeah. That's
But that's Super Nintendo games.
Surprising.
The box is worth a lot.
Yeah, that's surprising. I would have thought that would have skyrocketed, but maybe it's not that good. I don't know.
No, it's actually dipped. It's dipped a little recently. From what I've heard, it's not great, but I don't think it's like, I don't know. Some people hate it. Some people think it's fun enough.
What a concept.
Yeah. Cyber Stadium Series Base Wars for the NES, $967.
Mm-hmm.
Cyberball for the NES, $1651, and Telero Boxer for the Virtual Boy, $35.
Man, if I was even close to Mega Man, I would have known. I would have gotten closer, but I won anyway, so bleh. Okay.
Yeah,
so
close enough.
John, if you win this, we have a 3-way tie. So good luck. Okay, here's my list. There is a theme. Let's see if you can get it. Choo Choo Rocket for the Sega Dreamcast, complete in box. Hey You Pikachu microphone bundle for the N64, complete in box. Not the system, just the game. Master Chew and the Drunken Who for the NES, loose. And Choo Choo Rocket for the Game Boy Advance, loose. Hey, we both did Sega Dreamcast ports to the Game Boy Advance. That's funny. Ha 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 ha. I think
Sam goes first on this one, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I go first. You know what? Just as a throwback, I'm just going to guess 300.
Do it. Be the ghost.
I was thinking 350.
Well, actual retail price is $194.78. Which
Sam takes it.
Means Sam took this episode again.
By being the ghost.
Telling you. Sam always was the ghost. We've got Choo Choo Rocket for the Dreamcast, which is $29.46. Hey You Pikachu microphone bundle, which is an even $100. Choo Choo Rocket for the Game Boy Advance for $17.03. And Master Chew and the Drunken Who for the NES, which is an unlicensed game, goes for $48.29 loose.
And I was thinking that game was a lot more.
Yeah, I thought that it was too, but apparently it's a Mega Man Soccer situation where it just isn't now for whatever reason. Did anybody catch the theme here? Choo Choo Rocket, Hey You Pikachu, Choo Choo Rocket, Master Chew, and the Drunken Who. I just typed in Chew because I was going to do Choo Choo Rocket, and then I was like, what else has Chew in it? Oh, here's some stuff.
Surprised you didn't put Tulip in there, and that's one you.
Oh yeah.
Throw people. That's expensive too.
Yeah, I Master Chew I had to look up because I'd never heard of it. Is this a real thing?
Tulip, is that PS2?
Yeah, PS2.
Yeah,
should have. Well, congratulations, Sam. Well played.
Sam's cleaning up.
You're cleaning up. Yeah, this season so far you're undefeated.
It's my season.
Yeah, look out. We have 2 other games this round, this episode, from none other than the Ambassador and Flightsy, who made up his own game, and we're gonna go ahead and play them. So, first we have the Ambassador with the game called "Which Street Fighter Character Are You?" He says, answer the questions honestly and tally up your answers. Guide below. Okay. So, so you have to keep track of how many A's, B's, C's, and D's you chose. So let me pull up my notes here, put them there so that I'm ready to do it because I haven't read this yet. Here we go. Question number 1. You are at a sushi bar and you see the last piece of sushi at your table. Others are looking at it hungrily. What do? Do you A, offer to split it up with the others, B, explain with perfect diplomacy why it should be yours, C, steal it using lightning fast reflexes, or D, spit yoga flames on it so it's no longer sushi? I think I would steal it. I think that sushi's mine.
I'd do option E and just let somebody else have it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But since that's not a choice, I guess I'll just eat it.
No, you want it.
Everybody's going to be weird about it.
I'll do number 4.
I'll do C.
Yoga
or A. Sorry.
A. Okay, so not yoga flames.
Split it up.
Split it up. Good deal. Okay. 2. You notice your friends are going to the bad part of town. What do? Option A. Explain to them that only purse snatchers and gang leaders live there, and it would be not safe to go. B. Offer to be bodyguards for your friends. C. Rob your friends and teach them a lesson about wise choices. Or D. Levitate off the ground to distract your friends with yoga with magic yoga. Wow.
I have a feeling I know who option D is going to make you be.
Yeah, that's a little on the nose, isn't it?
Yeah, it's totally E Honda, right?
Yes. Levitating.
It's a good guess. I think it's Chun-Li.
What was A again?
A is explain to them that only purse snatchers and gang leaders live there and it would not be safe to go. Probably A for me because people.
Yeah,
I can tell.
Being honest, A.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
If I could levitate, I would probably do that a lot more.
Yeah. Maybe choosing option D gives you the power to levitate.
Maybe.
Question 3.
Telekinesis.
Yeah. Question 3. You are at the store and you see a poor beggar asking for change. What do? Option A. Give the beggar all the money in your wallet because they need it more than you do. B. Teach the man self-discipline and martial arts to have a better life. C. Punch the man repeatedly because he bothers you. D. Use your incredibly long limbs to make him a curry dish. Sorry. Wow. I do have incredibly long limbs, so I think I'm going to go with D on that one.
I like curry, so I'm going to go with D too.
All right. John?
I think I'm going to go with B.
Teach the man self-discipline. Yeah. That works. All right. Question 4. You are at a fighting tournament and your opponent uses illegal moves. Uh-oh. How do you respond? A. Alert the judges to this misdemeanor and make sure justice is done. B. Defeat the opponent and show him that cheating doesn't pay. C. Break the man's neck with a pile driver. Or D. Teleport from one side to the other side of the room. Wait, yeah. So, you're fighting and they're cheating. What do you do? Excuse me. Whew.
It'd probably be again for me.
Defeat the opponent. Show him cheating doesn't pay. I'm probably not going to fight this guy anymore. There's significant risk of injury at this point. I'm going to go ahead and hit A on that one.
I mean, if you're already in a Street Fighter tournament, though, there's always significant risk of injury.
Yeah. You might get thrown into a crate.
But it gets higher when people start cheating. Then I'm like, I can't predict anything you're going to do now.
I'm going to go with B.
So what you're telling me is if somebody just starts leg sweeping you, you're done? Like,
yeah, if I'm in a situation where somebody's leg sweeping me, like I should have been done a long time
over and over again. Like every time you stand up,
I should
leg sweep you.
Just
back
crawl
down.
away. Just be like, leg sweep this jerk. Bite his ankle. All right. Question 5. You are in a Japanese bathhouse and someone very rude and disruptive sits next to you in the sauna. How do you handle them? A. You conduct a citizen's arrest to prevent the quietness to preserve. I can't read tonight. You conduct a citizen's arrest to preserve the quietness of the establishment. B. Challenge the man to martial arts battle, and the loser must never return. C. Rip off the man's towel and expose him to the ladies. And D. Perform a yoga move so complex that the man gets freaked out and leaves. I feel like...
I think C would be funny, but I think I'm going to go B again.
The man's towel. That's a good. I think I'm going to go C actually because of that.
I guess I'll go A.
All right. Got our answers.
You want to do weird yoga moves?
You're going to tally up how many...
I am not flexible.
We're going to tally up how many of each answer we got, and then I'll tell you what the answers are. So, if you got the majority A answers, you are Chun-Li. The law is your boyfriend, and order is your BFF. You are the greatest detective in the world because you follow the rules and know how to helicopter kick people in the face. If you got mostly B's, you are Ryu. You live for challenges, honor, and discipline. Your goal in life is to challenge everyone you meet in a martial arts battle. And C, which is me, you are Zangief. Your primary way to solve problems is to drop them on their neck from 200 feet off the ground. And you once punched a goat because it bleated at you. You drink pure communism and wear wrestling tights for fashion. That's me to a T right there. That's just so true. How do you know me so well, Ambassador? And D, you are Dalsim. You have mastered the art of yoga, which lets you spit fire, contort your limbs, make dang fine curry, and you love to teleport, and elephants are your best friend. And then if you have a mix of all the answers and no majority, you are Guile, and your hair is amazing. Yeah, my hair is amazing. What did you guys...
5 questions. How would that even be possible?
I don't know, Sam.
If you didn't have any majority of any of them?
Because at the end of the day, we're all Guile. What'd you get, Sam?
I mean, technically, we chose E on the first one, Sam, so we could have been Guile.
Oh, so then I am Guile. I knew it.
You're Guile.
You don't want to yell yoga at people while you're punching them?
And then, John, what did you get?
I got mostly B's, so I'd be Ryu.
All right, cool.
Well, exempting E, I would get Chun-Li, actually.
That was a good list.
That's what I've got down here is 2 A's and 1 in the rest.
Okay. Yeah. Since there's no E. Okay, cool. Thank you, Ambassador, for the list. Thank you for always providing us with some fun things to do here on the show. We have Flightsy's secret game next, and the game rules have been blocked, so I can't even see them. So I'm going to be reading them fresh for the first time right now, so we can know what Flightsy's secret game is. Here we go. Presto the Magnificent decided it'd be funny if he stole some of the questions asked to his podcast and asked them to other podcasts. Others joined in. This accidentally caused the Nintendo Pals, the Gamer Girl podcast, and Off the Wah to all have the same set of questions this week. I wanted to add RetroLogic to that list, but decided I could do better than just stealing questions, so I made this game. Can you tell me who originally posted these questions and on what podcast? Oh, if you want to make your life easier, you can look at the bank of usernames below, so you're not just blind guessing community members. Okay. So the bank is here. Okay. Purple Ryu, Presto, and Solo something. And then which podcast did they ask this to? Okay, question 1. What Nintendo character could eat the most?
Over the list again?
Purple Riolu, I guess. Presto the Magnificent, and Solo something. I think Presto asked that.
This would be a Presto question, yeah.
Yeah.
And probably the Nintendo Pals.
Okay. To the N Pals. Question 2. What is the best game that came out in 1997? I think Purple Riolu asked that one. What do you guys think?
I have no clue.
Best game that came out in 97. Man, guys, I just don't.
This doesn't have anything to do with the thing that you guys are putting up with. What games came out when you turned 18? Does it?
Maybe.
So that would probably be Solo if that's the case.
Oh, really?
I think it is Solo, because I think Solo has been asking different years, like all the time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a good. Which podcast did he ask it to?
Unless somebody else picked it up.
That's tough, because I don't think I've listened to Gamer Girl. Or, actually, I may have only caught one episode off the wall. I'm sorry, guys. Listen, I don't have a lot of podcast listening time during the week.
I think this one's Nintendo Pals. At least that's where I saw it first.
Okay.
But
let's go with it.
Pals.
Let's go with it then. Let's go with it. Question 3 is... has Kirby ever met a buffet he didn't like? I don't.
It's a trick question. Did Flightsy ask this his own question?
No,
I think this is a question for Off the Wall.
Yes, but who said it, or who asked it?
Yeah. Solo? No. Presto? That sounds like a Presto question. That's what I'm going to guess. Any objections?
No. We're horrible at this.
We are.
Yep.
Question 4. What is each Nintendo character's favorite side during Thanksgiving dinner? I'm sure that one went to the pals. Unless y'all know something I don't. And I would guess that was Solo asking it, but again, this is a lot of guesswork. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, at some point, somebody had asked some questions for the Gamer Girl podcast, I would think.
Well, why don't we put it in there? Let's just put it in.
Yeah, we've been throwing it all towards the Nintendo Pals, I think, every one of them.
I just don't. Again, I just don't listen to podcasts very much. Does Kirby even taste the food since he inhales it all at once? I like the questions. Probably purple. And
Purple Riolu.
Yeah.
And which it's just the 3 podcasts,
yeah.
right? Off the Wall, Nintendo Pals, Gamer Girls.
I think that one probably that one screams Off the Wall to me.
Yeah, I'd say Off the Wall.
And then the last question, number 6, is would Waluigi make a terrible dinner guest? Pros and cons, please. Probably a bunch of the pals.
Yeah, I think that's pals.
Yeah, but who asked?
Presto again, or
I believe that.
Let's just get. Do we get a prize if we get all of these completely wrong?
He doesn't. Consolation prize. All right, so just to recap our answers, Presto. The question was, what Nintendo character could eat the most? We guessed Presto and N-Pals. And the answer is Purple Riolu and Off the Wall. So we were wrong on that one.
Hey.
Wrong
Bad
on both
news,
counts.
guys.
That's what I'm saying. I have a feeling we got these all wrong.
Question 2.
I'm hoping we at least got some half points.
Yeah. What is the best game that came out in 97? We said Solo Something said it and N-Pals received it. The answer is Presto asked it and Nintendo Pals received it. So that's half a point.
Okay.
Got half a point there. I'll give us the half. Question 3. Has Kirby ever met a buffet he didn't like? And question 3 goes to... we guessed Presto and Off the Wall. And the answer is Solo asked it to the Gamer Girl podcast, which is another total wrong thing for us.
Well, wait, why did we say that? Because that's his own show.
I don't know.
Would he be asking...
I don't know. I mean, this is a weird game.
I don't think I realized that whenever we were
our own shows.
Yes.
Right. Fine.
I do it all the time. Question 4. What is each Nintendo character's favorite side during Thanksgiving dinner? We guessed Solo asking the Gamer Girl podcast. And the answer is, for number 4, is Riolu to Off the Wall, which is totally wrong from what we guessed again.
Hey, we got a half point. We got a half point.
We have so far, yeah.
Let's make it into a whole point.
Question 5. Does Kirby even taste the food since he inhales it all at once? Is the question. And we guessed it was asked by Purple to Off the Wall, and the answer is Purple to Gamer Girl. So she asked herself a question. But we did get the person.
No.
We did get the person right, so it's another half point. We were at 1 point so far out of 6 possible points. Okay, question 6 is, would Waluigi make a terrible dinner guest? Pros and cons, please. And the answer is... we guessed Presto and Nintendo Pals. And the answer is Solo Something and Gamer Girl. So we pretty much got them all wrong. One way or another.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That was brutal. And I don't, I want to listen to more podcasts. I just don't have the energy, time, it's all eaten up by something. But Flightsy, thank you for the game. Thank you for sending it in. Thanks for being an awesome fan. We really appreciate you. The final thing for Prices Retro per usual is John's trivia card. Let's see it.
See how bad this dude is today. All right. The first question is, Sam Porter Bridges is the main character in which sci-fi game which destructive creatures roam the earth after a cataclysmic event?
Huh? Read it again.
Sam Porter Bridges is the main character in which sci-fi game where destructive creatures roam the earth after a cataclysmic event?
Sam Porter Bridges.
The Fallout 4?
It's not ringing any bells. Fallout 4 main characters don't have names, though.
Yeah.
Because they're created characters.
Yep.
I have no idea.
You guys give?
Yeah.
Death Stranding.
Okay. That's why I don't.
I might have been able to come up with that, but yeah, I never played it.
Oh, you guys will get this one. Is it Genji, Diva, and Zarya are all characters in which video game series?
Overwatch?
That is correct.
Oh yeah, it is Overwatch. It has been a while for me in Overwatch, guys. All right, well that is our Price is Retro.
1 out of 2.
What? Yeah, half. I don't know why I didn't get that first one. That is
better than 1 out of 7
for our first half of the show. Yeah. When we come back, John and Sam both have topics to discuss. Then we'll community couch it and we'll be out. So, yeah, that's it. We'll see you guys in a bit.
All right, welcome back. Dan had to pop out. He's feeling under the weather. So Sam and I are going to finish this up, and we're going to do our show topics, finish up with the community couch, and unfortunately we'll probably be skipping the Danverse this week and come back to that whenever we have the full cast. So we'll go ahead and hop into topics. We'll do mine first. This topic is something that I was thinking about. It actually made the list a couple weeks ago in the last episode, but we decided to bring it up to this episode due to time, and this one might be a pretty good size one. But this topic is retro remakes / remasters, and just the question of like, have we gone too far with both of these things, like with today's games?
Too many of them, you mean?
Yeah, too many of them. Do we need them? Do you lose something by going forward with the remaster? Does it take away from the original product?
I mean, I've mentioned a few times before, I'm in general not a huge fan of remakes. I don't want remakes of everything. To me, a remake is really only necessary if the original actually wasn't good. If there's actual improvements to be made. If you want to remake something that was already fine the way it is, it's more the attitude of, if it isn't broken, don't fix it.
Yeah, and we can kind of, I kind of define the set here. Kind of a remake is what I see as if, a different look at a game, I guess, or like, because a reboot's like just a totally, different idea on a franchise, I guess. Whereas a remake it's, the same game, but retooled from the ground up. And then a remaster is kind of like the same game structure wise, but, maybe, given a higher resolution and maybe some quality of life improvements. That's kind of how I view those. I don't know if you have a differing opinion.
Yeah, I mean, people can split hairs over it. Generally speaking, it comes down to a kind of technical distinction, I think, between remaster and remake. Remake can mean any number of things, I guess. Remaster seems to imply, they basically used the same. Typically, it's things like they have the exact same textures. They just render at a higher resolution because the hardware can do it now, right? Versus a remake is usually implies that you're going to have new assets. Generally, the gameplay is usually left as close to the original as can, whether that has to be kind of reverse engineered or rebuilt or not, with maybe quality of life type improvements. And then you have stuff like Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is really just a big, what if Final Fantasy VII was completely different?
Yeah.
So
yeah, to me, Final Fantasy
that goes to show that it's kind of a broad-reaching term.
Yeah, the Final Fantasy VII remake toasts the name of a remake, but to me, it's almost like a reboot. Like they totally changed things in the game to where it's like it's not even the same. You know, gameplay wise, it doesn't even fully play the same. You know, because to me, like a remake of a game should still play the same. I feel, but just some minor things changed. Like that feels like a complete reboot to me of the game. Like whenever I was thinking of this question, like one of the big ones that comes to mind for me is like The Last of Us, how it's kind of got a remaster and a remake now.
Yeah.
And it's not even 10 years old.
To a lot of people, it seems too soon. Yeah. But I mean, to me, it really is a question of like, is it any different? Like if it's the whole point of remaking an old game, right, is that you're banking on the fact that people will want it because they know it's good, because they know the original and the original was good. That's pretty much the whole point. But to me, it's like, well, if the original's already good, why do I need a remake? Especially the whole point is for it not to be different.
Yeah, and I mean, for this
and
one,
what a lot of people seem to want is the exact same thing with prettier graphics.
Yeah, which I mean, like we were talking about, this game was already remastered for the PS4. So that this game came out at the very end of PS3's life cycle, so it was already big graphical powerhouse for the PS3. Like it was already utilizing the majority of the assets the PS3 had to provide. It was already a really good looking game, from the start. It was already HD. And then, somewhere in the middle of the PS4's life cycle, they're like, well, we're going to remaster it. So we're going to up-res it a little bit more, polish it a little bit more, throw it back out there. And then here we are another generation later and it's getting a remaster already.
No, I mean, it used to be when you wanted to sell more copies of a game that had been out for a while, you would put it on sale. Now you just remaster it. Yeah,
and I mean, the remaster kind of made sense for the PS4 to me because it did come out at kind of an awkward time during the, at the very end of the PS3's life. So I could see how you would, remaster it, up-res it, bring it to the PS4 and probably, get some more sales that way. But I do kind of feel it's a little bit too soon to be remaking this game, like from the ground up the way they are. Because I mean, if you've watched the trailers, like it's totally rebuilt. It's not. I don't even believe it's running on the same engine by the looks of it. But so this is the one that really came to my mind when I posted this question.
It's a tough sell to me. Now, I will say one thing. I'm a lot of it comes down to just personal history, but what I have trouble understanding is the desire to see a game you already have, you already played, you already love, and to say it needs to be remade. And I don't know if it's just because that's like extra low-hanging fruit when it comes to like predicting things or filling out a list or whatever, if you've got a podcast or blog or something to create your content. It's what's a really popular old game that hasn't been remade yet? They should remake that, right? It's just kind of like the thing everybody does. But the more I hear it, the more I'm like, well, no. Now, a lot of it does come to, though, to personal. Like, to me, it means a lot more if a game's remade that I haven't played before. If it's an opportunity. But
yeah,
obviously, this is a retro show. We buy old games all the time. Just because a game's old doesn't mean it doesn't still exist and that it's not still playable. But there are those that are really expensive, or especially what we're seeing now is stuff that was never released internationally getting remade and getting stuff like Live Alive, which I was thrilled, or stuff like Front Mission 2 was never released internationally. Front Mission 1 was, because it's been remade. It's actually getting remade for the third time.
I feel like some of the issue is like, time between the original and the remake. Like, I have less problem with you remaking a game, say, like, N64, PlayStation 1 era, maybe even GameCube, PS2. I'd like to see some of those games remade, with, and to me, because that's kind of like the breaking point to where, like, camera options got a lot better. So
but there's still some that, like, I'd be like, why? Like, why would you want to remake the first Paper Mario, for example? Like, there's no need to.
No. And I mean, we have proof that remaking the game doesn't always turn out well. Like, whenever they redid GoldenEye and brought it to, like, the Wii and the Xbox 360, PS3 era systems, it just didn't feel right. Like, there was something off. Like, I played for a little bit, and I think I played most of the way through the story mode and just kind of felt disgusted with it. Like, it just didn't feel the way I wanted it to as a remake. But I definitely don't like the idea of games being remade, within the same decade. Like, especially
it's just at that point when if you're really gonna sincerely ask for so many remakes, then what room does that even leave for new things?
Yeah, and it kind of brings the question of, like, if we're turning to remakes this heavily right now, are we just out of ideas? Like, do we not?
Yeah,
is there not enough? This is an issue for, like, AAA game developers. Like, obviously, like, we have a schwack load of indie games that get released every week and have all kinds of different ideas because you're being forced to think outside the box to get your game out there. But it seems like the more and more we get into AAA development, like, it's how far can we just reach back and grab something?
You would think that reliance on sequels would be bad enough for people, but now it's like, I usually am comparing that in my head. I'm like, yeah, make a sequel. And so, and sequels don't have to be, reinventing the whole thing, and that's weird too, that you have the whole, like, people look at Splatoon 3 and they're like, it's too much like Splatoon 2, but yet they want Last of Us remade on every system
times.
And maybe those are different groups of people, but
I think it's so. I mean, like I was saying, I think that, to me, whenever I'm looking for, something to be remade, it's usually due to, like, quality of life issues. Like, if it's something that I wouldn't mind going back to play, but I know it's going to be a slog to play through in its current state, knowing that someone has improved on the gameplay formula in the future with other games. But then sometimes I look at it like, maybe I ought to just go play that new game, and enjoy it probably just as much as I did, its predecessor that it got all of its ideas from.
Well, I think you're going to see even more of it when it comes to things like online multiplayer games where the servers get shut off and they can bring it back and it can be full price again.
That's right.
And it'll, those servers will be active for, I don't know, 10 years or something if it's got a nice long lifespan.
Well, we're kind of already seeing that. I mean, they've brought World of Warcraft back, like the original.
They brought Modern Warfare back.
Like, we're starting to get there now where, like, people are clamoring for,
even your, $60 retail games are actually just games as service disguised in a, it's like a per 5-year payment plan. If that.
Yeah. So I'm not really huge on, I have to be in the mood for a remake. Like, I already don't replay a lot of games. I've come to terms that I'm a collector first, and, like, I like to play different, like, new games all the time. It's very few games that I sit down and just replay. So remakes kind of fall in that same category. I find myself a lot of times I'll buy a remake and it just sits. Like, I don't ever get back to it, even though it has new content or has been changed. Pretty much kind of like what you said. The only time I do find myself doing that is if it's a game that I haven't played before and it's been remastered. I'll go ahead and pick that version up.
I mean, in those cases, as far as I'm concerned, it's a new game. It's a new game to me, right? Yep. The only question is why didn't I buy the original, which usually it's not available or became rare and expensive.
Yeah, and a lot of
there's other ones that toe that line, but like, you know, Skyward Sword is a good example. That got remade, and I was like, why?
Yeah,
some people said they didn't like the motion controls, and I guess I get that, but I think the game's better with them. And, you know, I mean, when I'm feeling extra saucy about it, I hear people like, oh, I can't wait to replay Skyward Sword again. I'm like, no, that's not true. If you actually couldn't wait, you would be plugging in your Wii right now.
Well, or your Wii U even. Like, that's the deal with Skyward Sword is, you know, technically it never left. Like, you could always, you could play it. It's
been available. And it was never an expensive game either. It was, you know, the Wii version is probably still cheaper at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Than the Switch version.
Well, I don't know. The Switch version's down to like $30 now. I've seen it on sale several places. But like, to me, the games that I want remade right now are like GameCube era stuff that nobody will ever remake, because the reason why they're expensive isn't because they were great games. It's just because they were hard to find games and they didn't, you know, sell very much. So nobody's going to go back and remake those games because, you know, it's not because they were like super awesome and we need to bring them back. I will say
too, there are a number of multiplayer focused games that could still benefit by being remade with an online capability. And that's a relatively easy thing to implement. You could even do it without actually touching the game itself. You could do it through an emulator type function.
Yeah, just like Nintendo does with
obviously if it's going to be like an online competitive system, you're gonna want to make sure it's at least a good, you know. But look at like the Capcom Fighting Collection. That's not a remake of those games, but they brought them with GGPO netcode.
Oh yeah, they're
into modern systems. But I mean, they're the arcade versions of those games. They did not touch the code, as far as I know.
Oh yeah, no, they've just had things added to them. But yeah, so I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with reboots. I'm not saying that I'm opposed. I'm just generally cautious with how I choose to.
Oh yeah, and most of them that come out, I pass by, and the thing is, I'm a sucker for collections, but that's because that's just per dollar pretty easy for me to justify.
Oh yeah,
you know, the Battle Network collection I'll probably get, and hey, it has online trading and battling, so there's one of my things right there, and you know, the version differences aren't huge, but I mean, I do have a full set at this point of the Game Boy Advance games. So to me, it's like I am already playing them. I literally can't wait to play them. That's why I'm streaming Battle Network 2, because I'm not waiting. But you know, I'll probably pick it up when it comes out. Reboots are kind of the other side of this, where you see a franchise that already exists, has a history to it, and they decide to just change things up entirely for the next sequel. Or maybe it's not even a sequel. Maybe they go back to, you know, just the base title, which always winds up confusing everybody in the long run.
Yep.
And Battle Network's an example of this. Although Battle Network's a weird one, because it's not like they discontinued the other Mega Man series. So you could argue it's not so much a reboot as a spin-off that just was so successful it took on a life of its own. You know, they're like, oh, this will be a fun idea for a one-off, and then, oh, this did really well, let's make 5 more. Because I mean the Mega Man X series was still coming out at this time. The Mega Man Zero series came out alongside it as well. There was a ton of Mega Man at this point. And it was just one of those. I know Castlevania Lords of Shadow is another. That's kind of like a more archetypical example of a reboot, because they took the Castlevania characters and storyline and reset it, new continuity, and now instead of being a Metroid style action platformer, it's like a 3D God of War game.
Now the the 3DS one went kind of back to its roots.
Yeah, so Mirror of Fate was kind of weird because it was a Lords of Shadow game. So it was set in that continuity, right? Yep. But it did play a little bit more like
well, and it was developed by Mercury Stream, which is doing
Mercury Steam,
Metroid things.
I guess you could even. I just played Battle Network Transmission or Mega Man Network Transmission. There's no battle in the title, despite what you might think. But that's kind of. It's interesting how they'll wind up doing that. They'll reboot the series and then they'll try to bring the reboot back to something
they're like,
closer.
This didn't work out like we thought.
Integrate it into the classic style gameplay with some of the new twist. And it doesn't always work too well.
Which, oddly enough, the Mirrors of Fate's actually a pretty good game, and I honestly think that's the reason why they did get Metroid.
I haven't played it. I heard mixed reviews when it came out. I didn't touch the original Lords of Shadow, and this is kind of to my bigger point, is because I looked at it as somebody who got into Castlevania with the Game Boy Advance games specifically, and I was like, well, this isn't Castlevania anymore. This is not for me. It's not even that it looked bad. It's just that, like, well, this is just outside what interests me now. So I guess I'll pass. And so that's kind of the question is this even a good idea? Because you risk alienating all your existing fans by taking it in a different direction. And supposedly you're taking it in a different direction to bring in new people, but why would they care? Why would somebody who wants to play this care that it's a Castlevania game?
Well, to me, this is where spinoffs come in. You can still piggyback and you can call it a Castlevania game, but just give it different characters, bring some different lore into it and explain why, these things can be easily avoided. There's spin-off games all the time. There's no reason to have a Sonic 2006.
Well, and I think you look at the smaller studios maybe, and it's like you can't have, tons of games in development at once.
Yeah.
But for the bigger ones, yeah, and like that's what Capcom was doing with Mega Man, right?
That's right.
Konami was being Konami and just slowing down making video games, period. So
yeah, I mean, by the time they were doing these games, they were almost done anyway.
But I think that is an interesting sort of aspect to it too, is you have, when it comes to rebooting, there's always that like plot reset. Sometimes they just want to hit the reset button on the plot, which is sort of like, okay, how did you even get here in the first place? Because there is a much easier solution, which is to just not be that invested in continuity, period. Look at Mario.
Yeah.
Mario isn't concerned with, whether or not anybody remembers what happened in, Galaxy versus Galaxy 2.
There's no timeline. He just does things.
Yeah, he just does things. And to be fair, I treat the Zelda timeline this way too. I know some people
have to. Like people that try to put it all together are crazy.
It's clear Nintendo doesn't actually care about the timeline. It's an afterthought. But I mean, there's that, and there's we're going to change the gameplay. So I think with the plot stuff, it's like that's almost inevitable from a long-standing series. If you have any kind of continuity between games, like you're going to hit that reset button at some point just to simplify things. And that's where it makes sense to me. It's like, okay, we want to bring new players in. We don't want them to be confused by referencing these 14 games they haven't played yet.
Yep.
We don't want to change the gameplay because that's what's supposed to draw people in anyway. And you see that with stuff like even Star Fox. Star Fox Zero is a weird case, but ultimately I consider that gameplay kind of a offshoot of the main Star Fox gameplay. I mean, you're still flying an R-Wing. Arguably, Adventures is more a reboot in that sense, but it didn't reboot the continuity.
No, and
Zero did.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, Adventures is like a spinoff. Like, it's not really I don't consider it a mainline Star Fox game.
Even though they shoehorned that R-Wing into it late in development.
Well, yeah. I mean, they tried their dangest to get it to
when
work.
They realized it was a Star Fox game and not Dinosaur Planet.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. We've went 20 hours into the Star Fox game and there's no starship whatsoever.
But yeah, I mean, technically, even like Donkey Kong Country Returns is sort of a reboot, and it seemed like it's just because they wanted to get away from the Kremlings. Lo and behold, that didn't work. Cable is in Smash now.
Back. Yeah.
So let's hope they come back for the next actual Donkey Kong game too.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, you have Metroid Other M on here, but I was also thinking about. Samus Returns is kind of like a reboot, you know, because
it's a remake technically.
Well, it's a remake, but it's also a reboot in a sense. Like it plays like it's totally different than the original one. Like they changed everything.
Well, the weird thing about Other M too is that was actually the first real sequel to Super Metroid, right?
Yeah,
like every Metroid game between Super Metroid and that was actually a prequel, I think.
Actually, no. I think
Fusion. There was Fusion
is the true sequel.
So Other M, I think, is supposed to take place between Super Metroid and Fusion.
Fusion, yes.
Yeah, because there's no X parasites.
It's kind of like
2.5. Yeah, which that's just weird.
And then the Prime games are sprinkled in there too.
It came up because somebody else chimed in with this in Discord, and I think it gets lumped in as that because it did for a lot of people hit like, oh, this is a different Metroid. This is not my Metroid.
Yeah, I mean it's the first time the Metroid really totally deviated from its normal, you know.
Well, you had Prime.
Well, I know, but it doesn't fit in with Prime, and it doesn't fit in. Prime was just was Metroid going 3D. Like that's how I look at that. Stories tried to stay the continuity between stories is still trying to be there. But Other M was just like, I don't really know what I want it to be, but we're going to try this different thing, and it's going to have tons and tons of voice acting in it. Like it just did not feel like a Metroid game. Like Metroid's supposed to feel really atmospheric. It's not it's supposed to tell a story through like actions and reading and, things like that. Where Other M did not feel like that whatsoever. Which again, I think this is another example of like, a developer doing really well at bringing a series back and then another, and then getting handed another series to try to bring back. And they were like, maybe not so much. Because they just got done with Ninja Gaiden, like rebooting that series.
Well, that is another one that I love the classics, and I just the newer stuff did not vibe with me at all.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm with you on that one. I have all of the newer games, and I've tried to get into them because I really like the original games, and there's just something about it, like it just doesn't fit. But they're good games, and I know people like them. They're just not for me.
Well, I mean, you took Ninja Gaiden and you made a completely different type of game out of it. You can't expect the Venn diagram of fans to be a circle there. There's only going to be so much overlap.
Yeah, I mean, the little bit of story that gets retained is like the only thing holding them together. And then like, really, they're not. I don't even think they're like. There's no timeline for Ninja Gaiden that's like between the whole series.
But I mean, it is interesting because as much as I'm kind of down on the idea, Battle Network worked for me. Like it kind of got me a lot more into Mega Man as a whole. The only Mega Man game I played before that was X, and I did love Mega Man X. But that really like kind of solidified an attachment to Mega Man for me to the point that I picked up the Anniversary Collection later and actually played through all the NES games.
I mean, even Mega Man X is like a departure from the original Mega Man.
Yeah, I mean, it's gameplay wise, you can still see it as kind of an evolution. But there was a lot of the intent was we need. It's interesting because they did go back on it, but they said, we need to redesign Mega Man for 16-bit consoles.
Yeah.
So they actually initially Zero was supposed to be the protagonist. They went with Mega Man after some internal discussion, and they're like, he can't be Mega Man. He's not even blue. And,
yes, as one does.
And they did that. But then, of course, Mega Man 7 wound up coming out on Super Nintendo as well. So that was the classic Mega Man with, everything you expect from classic
they were
Mega Man.
We already did 6 other of the original ones, and they're mostly, similar idea. We have to depart at some time.
But I mean, the thing with Mega Man X is it is a sequel. It's just kind of a, I guess that's the other thing. Instead of full on rebooting, what you do is you sort of have your character pass the torch and be succeeded by a replacement. Because it technically did not destroy the continuity. It just went further into the future.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the whole thing's weird. There's so many things going on with games.
It's just, and you see this in all kinds of media too, and that's why I kind of say when it comes to just anything where you're going to have continuity, and Lord knows nerds love to obsess over continuity, you're going to have to do some housekeeping on it once all the stuff builds up for a while, and that's why we see, in comic books, you'll have a Crisis on Infinite Earths or whatever to sort of.
That's why they created the multiverse, up. Man.
Yeah, but it's interesting too. You compare media. I think when you look at the film world, people are very people look on reboots with a lot of, I think, a bit more suspicion.
That's I was like, we think we have a bad video games. Like the film industry is it's in shambles with remakes and reboots. Like it's like the only thing we can get nowadays.
Well, the interesting thing too, though, is when you talk about those very, very similar remasters or whatever. I guess remasters is one thing if you're just releasing a remastered DVD. That's whatever, fine, sure. But when you remake a film and you do it without really changing much, I think about the Psycho that was shot for shot remake. Everybody hated it. They're like, why would we even make this? Why would you even do this? It's just actually worse than the original, and you tried way too hard to replicate it. It's just interesting to think about that. But, in games, it's you remade it with, you're running the exact same game on newer hardware. That's the best thing ever.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's definitely it's a hard-hitting topic, and depending on who you're talking to, some people love them, some people don't like them as much, and then I think you have a lot more that just kind of float in the middle there, kind of like we do, where if it's some of them are okay, and some of them, if you don't like them, you just don't buy them.
I get why people buy them. I get why they sell. You're really just cashing in on the years of advertising from word of mouth where people have said, hey, have you played this game? It's really good. And then along comes, the remake of really good game, and everybody's talking about it again.
Yep. All right, man. I think we've hashed it out. I really wish Dan could have joined us to hear his perspective, but maybe he can share his in the Discord and everyone can read it there. So now we can go ahead and sit on the community couch And since we won't be doing the Dan versus episode, as I mentioned earlier, we can just head right to our singular question that we got from the Delightful Flightsy. And he asks, what is the effect of the social media like Twitter on how we discuss video games? I think that should have been like... okay. Instead of the of social media. Sorry, that sounded kind of funny.
Yeah. Calling it the social media just makes you sound like an old man.
Yes. And I'm reading that word for word, so you can call me Ron Burgundy,
I think
I guess.
I copy-pasted it, but sometimes errors happen in copying things over.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a big topic. I mean, just in general, plenty of people have done a lot of hand-wringing over character limits and how that's just, making us dumber.
Yeah.
Leading to, well, I mean, it's lack of nuance, right? So it's, you get a lot of hot takes, you get a lot of regurgitating the same stuff.
I mean, the problem I have with it on social media is you'll get a lot of opinions on games from people that didn't even play the games. And like, that's why I kind of like to look towards more closely knit communities like what we have on Discord, because at least I know that if somebody's given me their opinion on the game, that they've probably at least tried it out, versus somebody on Twitter just saying, "Oh, this game's garbage," and they don't even have it.
Yeah, it's weird how invested people get in review scores for games they haven't.
Yeah.
It's like the review score is supposed to help you decide if the game's good, not validate your preformed opinion.
Yeah.
But I don't know. People have been doing that for a lot longer than Twitter has been around too.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's kind of the thing. I almost think things were better whenever you had to get your review score from a magazine and you didn't have somebody yell at because your game didn't get, the game you liked didn't get the score you thought it deserved. And it's like, well, maybe you should have been a person that reviews games.
The rest of us didn't have to read your comments. Is the thing.
Exactly.
Because the magazine would throw those letters out.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, I could see it both ways. I do enjoy reading about. I mean, I read just as many things, on other forms of media that as I do in Discord. I tend to honor the opinions of friends on Discord a lot more than I do just random people that are spouting out things everywhere else.
Well, and on the positive side of things, it's made it a lot easier to, find people in a very particular niche. Very quick. I could go onto Twitter right now and be like, hey, anybody remember Star Wars Episode 1, Gungan Frontier? And there'd probably be like
two people
a couple
would pop up and say, hey, yeah.
Yeah. All three of us would immediately find each other.
That's right. Yeah, it's not all bad. I mean, the platform is just the platform. It is what it is. It's only what you make it. It's it's the age-old argument, of a weapon versus intent, type deal. If you're looking to just be one of those people on social media where you're just out to ruin someone's day all the time, it's probably not a good place for you.
And fortunately, it's just video games. Like, I can deal with people's idiocy when it comes to video games.
That's right.
That's why that's most of anything I do on Twitter is just geared towards that. Stay away from politics, please, if you value your sanity.
Yes. I mean, I try to do my best at
on Twitter. I mean,
staying away from any form of politics online whatsoever. I usually do my best to just kind of read through what's going on locally and deal with that as I can, but I don't have any want to get into any kind of arguments online about social stances or anything. So yeah, I think I think we share a pretty similar view on this. I'd be interested in what everyone else thinks. Maybe we'll have some chats about it on Discord.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
All right. Well, with the community couch out of the way, you guys will just have to wait a little bit longer to get the Enter the Shattered Danverse Part 2. We apologize again for not having the full cast.
For just keeping the suspense.
That's right. Keeping that cliffhanger rolling. Everybody wants to know what happens.
We can't have the finale without Dan and Gorf.
Yes, we need Dan and Gorf. We need Flightsy to reprise his role, and we probably ought to talk to a few other people before we do this anyway, because it looks like a pretty hefty list of characters this week. I'll let you know.
We're just gonna have to flex our
I'm all for flexing, but like
versatility in voice.
I'm not a voice actor by any means, so it would be very hard pressed to create different characters on the fly, because I don't read the script before we do this thing. I just read it as we're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, tune in next time. We will definitely should be able to get to that on the next episode. So thanks for listening to the RetroLogic podcast. We're proudly part of the Nintendo Dads family of podcasts. If you like what you hear, you can check out Dan on Twitter and Instagram at RetroLogic Games. You're also welcome to jump into our friendly and 100% non-toxic Discord community. You can find the link to that in Dan's Twitter bio. Boy, I just botched that. And you can also find this podcast and all the other podcasts in our family at the website retrologic.games. You can also find the blog that Sam runs. There's all kinds of good stuff on there. Store, you can buy merch. I don't like the word merch, but you can buy merch. But yeah, that's it. Go check out retrologic.games. Get your fill. And we'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye now.
Goodbye.